Welcome to Dynasty. My name is Lele. That's Maya's girl. Today we have a guest, Michael, and it's Michael. He will introduce himself.
Well, thank you, Lele. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
So yeah, I basically wanted to start by just doing sort of a Q&A session, sort of a question and answer. There were some questions that came up about Kemetic mythology and the old stories, the old religion. So I wanted to answer some questions about those. Uh, I guess I could start with some questions that I've gotten. One is about the name Kemet, right? Which, as we all know, means black soil or black earth, black lands, which usually is considered a reference to the black soil that was thrown up by the Nile River onto the banks. Very fertile, and made it possible to grow crops right on the edge of the Nile and throughout Egypt, and really allowed people to found the civilization there, right? Uh, but then there's also the word Egypt, which some people get offended by, and I understand because the actual real name is Kemet. But it doesn't bother me too much when people use the word Egypt, just for the simple fact that it is based on the ancient language. Basically, the word Egypt comes from the Greek Aegyptus or Egyptus with an A in front, which is actually just a corrupted pronunciation of the word Haikaptu, which is the name of it basically means the temple of Ptah at Memphis. So Haikaptu, Haikapta, the temple of Ptah, right? Or the house of Ptah, which is the name of his great temple in the city of Memphis. Uh, Basically, the Greeks came in and they heard Haikapta, and they basically said, "Oh, Egypt." They pronounced it incorrectly, and they applied it to the whole land. It's like they didn't realize they were talking about just one temple. So it doesn't bother me too much when people use the word Egypt, but your mileage may vary, I guess. Uh, Another question that I often get is about the just how the Kemetic faith sort of formed in Egypt, right? Originally, it started out as a bunch of very small scale religions, localized religions all around the country. You would have one major netter, one major deity in each location, and then there would be certain deities they would have associated with them. But then, as different areas gained more political power, more religious authority, they would sort of overtake other religions, and then they would combine their head deities, right? So in Kemetic mythology, you have just several creator deities, right? And depending on where their religion was originally formed, where their localized religion was, their original source documents. So Amen is probably the most famous. Amen was actually a member of what the Greeks called the Ogdod or Ogdoad, which was the 8 original primordial deities. And Amen was one that they called, his name means the unseen one, the one with no physical form, sort of the force behind everything. He was eventually elevated to the highest status as the ultimate creator. Well, in another area, the creator was Ra, or Re. So when those two centers came together, they combined Amen and Re and ended up with Amun Re or Amun Ra, right? As the sole creator deity. And then, even more than that, they went on and they took over another area and they became Amun Ra Kepra, and then Amun Ra Kepra Ptah. And they just did that as they went along. They just sort of combined them, saying these deities are actually, these creators are all the same deity, the same netter, but they're just different names for the same guy. So they would just combine them and basically add to the name as they went. I guess that's the start. So I guess Joy, what do you want to what else, what do you want to cover? Anything specific?
Hi, my name is KK from Maya Girls.
Hi, KK. Nice to meet you.
This question A is answered.
Okay.
Type your question down below.
All right, so everyone, again, yes, welcome to Karmic Dynasty. I have Maya's Girls here hosting for Karmic Dynasty today, and Michael is here to answer some questions, Q&A. First, I would like to point out in the description below, you will see a link to the Amazon page where you will receive a discount on the Kemetic Tarot set. The Kemetic Tarot Veil of Aset edition, and order it today and get your discount as a Karmic Dynasty viewer. Again, link is below in the description. Also in the description below are links to Michael's prior appearances on Karmic Dynasty. So check out those links as well as a link to order your set today. Now, there have been some questions coming to the platform, and here is one here recently. And I'm going to share a few. So first, this one says, great Christmas presents for tarot readers and friends who use other cards. 2023, 24, 25 ongoing. Everyone has been searching for these that are tarot readers, oracles. Thank you, creator of these tarot cards. Thank you, interviewer. This has helped and supported many people. I have seen this shared a few times. I have come back as a chosen one to move this forward into the future. So can you please represent these cards and let others know? Thank you again. Michael, would you like to address that comment?
I really appreciate it. I always love to hear feedback, and I'm glad when people enjoy the cards. The cards are actually I guess just my way of trying to help spread the information about the the ancient Kemetic faith. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the old stories, the old tales, the old history. There's so much interesting stuff in there, and this was just to me an interesting way to kind of share that knowledge with everybody.
Okay, exactly. Very good. A way to share the knowledge with everybody. I definitely always have appreciated Michael sharing as much as he does, including being here today. Right now, this next comment says, it's a lengthy one. Let me hear. Hold on, y'all. Let me share just this screen. Apologies. Where are we at? Here, let's see. Okay, so this comment says, let's get this centered, not right nor left. The book of coming forth by day, the book of life, is different from the book of the dead. These are two separate for different reasons. These are both two different states.
Let's talk about that one real quick.
Piece at a time. I got you.
let's address this one. So the book of coming forth by day, well, where to begin? Okay, so the Book of Coming Forth by Day is the actual name. It's the actual correct or the most correct, right, translation of the title of the book, Ani's book. We'll call it the Kemetic Book of Spells, the Kemetic Book of Scroll of Magic, whatever you want to call it. But it's the most correct translation of the name that we have, right? Book of the Dead is actually a name that the original, I guess the Europeans that encountered when they encountered it for the first time. These ancient books of scrolls of spells, these ancient books. When they encountered them for the first time, they translated the title as the Book of the Dead. Well, we know now that that was actually not a fully correct translation of the title. They messed it up, right? However, it's become the most popular title because it was the first title. So the Book of Life is another interesting one. There's actually a book called the Book of Life, and it's another translation of, as the title says, it's a translation of the Book of the Dead from around 2005, if I remember correctly, by I don't remember the author's name. But basically, he translated the title as the Book of Life, which is more correct than the Book of the Dead, but not as correct as the Book of Coming Forth by Day. So they're actually all the same book. Now, in the movie The Mummy from 1995, right? Which, by the way, is a pretty good movie. It's interesting. They actually got a couple of real historical ancient Kemetic figures in there. But in reality, they actually live, 1,000 years apart from each other. But, they kind of threw them in there for their plot or whatever. And it's a very, very Christian Bible-based movie. A lot of allusions to stories from the Bible in that movie and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they had the Book of the Dead and the Book of Life as two separate books that sort of counteracted each other. And that was more of a plot device than anything. It doesn't have anything to do with like real life, right? I mean, Paramount Pictures, The Mummy, it's not really a primary source for this type of stuff. All right. So basically, they all refer to the same thing: the Book of the Dead, the Book of Life, the Book of Coming Forth by Day. They all reference the same book, which, by the way, the Book of Coming Forth by Day, when it was written, there's no single copy of this that you can point at like you can with other religious texts, like the Bible or the Quran or any other, the Torah, any kind of books like that. There's nothing that you can actually point at and say, this is the official, ultimate copy of this, right? Because what happened was each person who could afford it, right, would have their own copy written and personalized to include spells that they thought would be important, right? Things that I think I will encounter when I'm trying to make it to the afterlife. These are the things that I need in my version of this book. And by the way, put my name everywhere in it. I want my name filled in all the blanks everywhere. So it's a very personalized book. And, as far as which spells were in it, which incantations, which verses, I want to include this one and this one, but not that one, but put this one in, but leave that one out. And they also said, go ahead and, while you're at it, put my name everywhere in here, right? So when I read these spells, I'm literally reading my name into it, right? And we've seen that several times now. There's been several good copies of the Book of Coming Forth by Day found, and each one is very personalized to an individual. All right, so I guess we'll go on to the next one. Sorry about that.
It's good. It's good. We here for Q&A. We came here to hear you today. So definitely this comment again is on the Karmic Dynasty platform in my notifications. So the next part of this is there are both two different, these are both two different states of existence. And Aset did not steal any power from any man or spirit, etc. This was her own power.
Okay. All right. So let me address this one real quick. So this actually refers back to the story where Aset basically tricked Amun-Ra, right? She basically created a poisonous, venomous snake using clay, using mud, right? And this venomous snake, she basically set it loose in the garden that Amun-Ra used to walk in the mornings, and it bit him on the heel and, poisoned him because it was made from his essence. So therefore he had no defense against it, right? It was essentially part of him that poisoned himself, right? She just set it in motion. The reason she did this was so that she could gain his power, right? And the way she gained his power was by tricking him into giving her his secret name. When she got his secret name, and name-based magic is very widespread, ubiquitous, throughout all of the all religions, right, all around the world. For instance, just as an example, right, Christians, when they read the Bible, there's a story in there about Jesus casting out demons, right? When he encounters the man who's possessed by a demon, the first thing he asks the demon is, "What is your name?" Right? The demon says, "We are Legion." Well, why does he do that? Why does he ask him his name? What difference does it make? He's a bad guy. Why do you need his name? Because there is, in name-based magic, if you know the person's name, their true name, you have power over them, right? And by gaining basically by getting that information, like, this is your name, right? This is my name. Now you know my name. Now you can control me. Now you can make me do whatever it is you want me to do, right? You can make me give up. You can make me do this, do that. You have control over me. You have control over my power, right? Just as an example, I mean, if you walk through the mall, if you hear someone say your name, right, you might immediately turn around, even if they're not talking to you, right? It's just that power of the name. You hear your name and you're automatically like, "Oh, who me?" Right? But on a side note, basically, the reason she did this, right, is what's important. She didn't do this just because she was a bad person or devious or anything like that. The reason she did this was because Amun-Ra was on the earth at the time, and he was literally killing his own creation because his power was too great. He had too much power, and his power was just destroying the land. It was burning the people up. It was killing people. It was killing livestock. It was destroying crops. He just had too much power to be on earth. So she needed to get him off of the earth. She needed to get him away from the earth. And she determined that the best way to do that would be to basically make him swear to leave, right? And to do that, she basically poisoned him with his own essence and then cured him once he promised to leave the earth and go into the sky, where he wouldn't destroy creation with his power, right? So the whole point is, I guess, that she did this, and she did it for the right reasons. But not only did she do it for the right reasons, but I mean, the story, to read the story, to understand the story, when you read the story, it literally starts with the words, Aset was more clever than a million gods, right? It is basically stating that she is more clever. She's smarter. She can outsmart a million gods, right? Or a million netters, a million deities, right? She is challenged in her cleverness only by Tahuti. He's the only one that is even a challenge to her as far as being clever goes. If we say that this story didn't happen, or this story is not, based in reality, basically what we're saying is, number one, we're taking away from her the fact that she is more clever than a million gods. You know, I'm not willing to take that away from the goddess. I mean, she is. She's one of the most well documented deities, you know, netters that we know of. She's just that well documented. People actually loved her, and they loved her like none of the other netters, right? No one even comes close. But because of that, all of her stories are very well documented, just all over the place, right? In fact, this particular story of her tricking Amun-Ra and gaining his power by learning his secret name, she becomes equal in power to him. She becomes as powerful as the father of the gods, the god of creation, right? So to basically say, well, this never happened. Well, again, we're taking away that level of power where she is now equal to the patriarch of the netter, right? Which, you know, I'm not willing to take that away from her either. But the other thing is, this one particular story is actually documented in at least 5 different source scrolls that are over 5,000 years old, from about 3000 BCE. So we have this story is well documented. So, you know, I don't know where we say, you know, where it comes from that this never happened, or this, you know, this, that, the other. I can't make sense of it, but, you know, I'm definitely open to, you know, new information. But, you know, like I said, there are at least, I know of at least 5 source scrolls where this very specific story is told in full. So you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, this story is well documented.
Exactly. And from what I know, it's definitely, as you say, well documented. Again,
I don't like the idea of, I'm trying to think of the right word here, just diminishing the goddess, right? I mean, she is the goddess. People loved her because she was the most human of the netters, right? I mean, she experienced the things that people experienced, right? Amun-Ra, yeah, he got mad every now and then about different things, but, you know, but he got mad about things that ordinary people would probably just ignore, right? Like, yeah, whatever, you know. He was very, very sensitive about some things, right? Asur, he's hardly even talked about, right? He is the king of the underworld, and he sits there in judgment, so he's very powerful. But, you know, his story is very short, and to be honest, he comes off as not extremely intelligent, right? I mean, his brother tricks him to laying in a casket where he kills him. Which, like, if someone tells you lay in a casket, lay in a coffin, no, just don't, right? But the goddess, I mean, she is intelligent. She encounters problems all the time, like real world problems that people encounter, right? The death of a loved one, and she has to, you know, overcome this. In fact, multiple times, right? People that she loves die, and it's just it's heartbreaking, right? She encounters people that make her mad, but then she has to turn around and she has to help those same people that have just, you know, disrespected her and made her mad. But she has enough empathy, enough pity to take pity on those people and help them even after they've disrespected her, right? I mean, she's on the run from a guy who's trying to hurt her, right? I mean, the list just goes on and on and on, right? Of her encountering all of the different bad things that normal people run into daily, right? Her husband, her husband messes around on her, right? And you know, has a child, right? And yes, she's upset, but you know what? She overcomes that. And, you know, she's the perfect mother archetype. She's like, you know what? Yes, I'm mad, but the child does not need to suffer. And she actually adopts the child and raises the child as her own. I mean, she was like the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect, yes, she got mad, but she also had empathy and gave forgiveness and directed her anger where it needed to be. She was like the perfect role model for everyone, right? So, to take away those things from her is just very, I don't know. I don't agree with taking any of that away from her, right? She went through all of this stuff, and you know, and honestly, people just loved her for it. It's why she's one of the most well documented of the netter. She has the most interesting stories, the most human stories, and she really, really, just goes through all of the human emotions, that people can really connect with. So that's my take on it. Yeah, sorry for the
Yes,
rant.
yes. No, that's what it's not a rant. We're here to hear you out. Hear you out. Let's see. So the next part of this says, I am sorry to disappoint anyone, but there has been many false indoctrinations of the original story, and the fellowship back then did try to silence the woman and overthrow the source mother and other feminine aspects of life after that. Tarot and oracle or light wizard will tell you the truth or lie detector. Many people do not know about this, not just the occultist. It is no secret to many people. Know and more are getting to know the truth. To know, you can even do a tarot reading about that also, or if you are into oracle cards, to clarify the truth based on facts. No power was stolen from man. Aset has her own power by the universe, and it was not given to her by man, nor did she steal this. That is 100% force.
Okay, the part right above that, I'm not sure what to do with any of that. It's I don't know what any of that means.
Right.
But this part right here, no power was stolen from man. I agree. No, she did not steal any power from any man. She took the power from the 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 king of the netters, the king of the Netero, Amun Ra. She took his power, and she became equal in power to him, right? By learning his secret name. So, to say that she was not equal in power to him, I'm not buying it. I mean, she raised her son from the dead, right? In one story, she literally stopped the world from moving. When Heru was killed, she literally stopped the sun in the sky. It could not move anymore. She used her powers to stop time until the Neteru came down and raised him from the dead. She forced their hand and made them raise him from the dead using her powers to stop the world, literally stop time, right? And she wouldn't release it until they raised him again. So, I mean, it's to me that's power, right? And that's like the ultimate power. But she was equal in power to Amun Ra. She had all the same power that he had after that incident. But trying to take that away from her and say, well, no, she didn't do that. Well, that leads down a road where, number one, we're literally saying none of the documented stories were documented, right? Like none of these things were actually written down when they actually were, in several places, right? Over a long period of time, thousands of years ago. But the other thing is to say that she did not have these powers, she did not have this authority, she did not have any of this, she wasn't that clever, she wasn't. It makes no sense to me, right? I mean, I'll be honest, I love the goddess. She's one of my favorite netters. She's just, she's, she was second in wisdom only to Tahuti, equal power with Amun Ra. She raised her son from the dead. She raised her husband from the dead. I mean, it's like literally just unparalleled. So I don't know where that particular thing is going. But no, I agree. She didn't steal anything from any man. She didn't need to. She had the power of equal to Amun Ra. Why does she need anything from a man? I'm sorry, come on.
Okay,
The
so next part we have is speaking about the Sphinx. So I'm gonna share that information. I know the Maya's girls over here getting their questions for the Q&A prepared. They're looking at the 2 books that come in the set that you have that people can get on Amazon at a discounted price. So go to Amazon, links in the description, and get your set today. But
discount code 20 Karmic, no spaces, just 20 Karmic. And that should actually take effect in about 30 minutes. I think it starts at 5 p.m.
Oh, that's good and great information. I did forget to say that, so thank you. Yeah, this person was talking about the Sphinx. I'm working on this. Okay, y'all can see that. Working on this sizing here. Here, I'm gonna read it off my phone while I find it. So it says the truth about the Sphinx and the main Sphinx on the Universal Akashic. What's this? Universal Akashic Record Blueprints Life. I'll read ahead so it didn't make sense. I'm gonna start over. I'm like, what's this person saying? My bad. The truth about the Sphinx and the main Sphinx on the Universal Akashic Record Blueprints Life is not a male in the land of Kemet. There is more than one. This really needs to be notified. We are in the years of revelations. I am not a Christian, nor am I joining any religion due to the indoctrination of the Roman Catholic Church and the Knights Templars and the Fellowship movement. It is a shame the amount of females that have tried to erase from our story, not his story. Hint, hint. Fellowship statement right there.
Was that all? Everything?
No, there's more.
So I'm sure everyone here knows, but the Akashic record is basically it's this idea that there is universal knowledge like spread throughout the universe, and that we can all tap into it, like I don't know, subconsciously, spiritually, that we can all tap into this this common knowledge.
I'm going to add it to your banner. And
but to be honest, I'm not sure what all that was saying. Sound like a little clever wordplay, but I'm not sure what they were. I'm not sure what they were getting at. I mean, put it this way: in ancient Kemet, right, women it was a patriarchal society, right? I mean, just much like the United States, or in most societies around, not every society, but most societies around the world tend to be patriarchal, right, in nature. There are some matriarchal where it's sort of basically the women are in charge, but for the most part, most societies tend to be patriarchal and all that kind of good stuff. And ancient Kemet was no different, right? It was patriarchal and all that good stuff. But one of the interesting things was that, for a patriarchal society, they actually had, thousands of years ago, they had woman pharaohs, female pharaohs, right? And they did have women in some positions of high authority. It wasn't a large number, but I mean, they broke the glass ceiling, 5,000 years ago. So it's interesting. And women for sure were not treated as equals in all respects. But they were making progress in certain areas way back then. Women did have certain rights, granted to them, equal to men in many cases. But But it's the same story, right? Women were treated as, if not completely second class citizens, they were treated as lower than men in a lot of respects. And that kind of persists today throughout the world, which, I mean, we got to fix that. That's kind of crazy. But anyway, yes, they suffer
Anyway,
the same problems then that we suffer today. Things have gotten better, but they could still be a lot better.
exactly. This person goes on to say a number of programs were looped and people were enslaved and beaten into trauma to continue false information dealing with religion, i.e., Christianity, etc. The ancient Kemetic system originated with spiritual science and high level of mathematics. The scarab is represented as a female and male principle, however, feminine in nature in terms of producing delivery of other scarabs as a major symbol for creation in another state of existence on Earth's plane. They go on to say, we do appreciate the new creations of the cards by the author Michael. And yes, Karmic Dynasty, the statement about female pharaohs being hidden. And then they go on to reference some speakers of today. Tarot readers and oracles backing the truth on the ancient Kemetic story, indigenous ancient generations, and some of the existing generations who hold the truth. The occult, which means hidden, also hold a large amount of truth and hide it to reverse it or even practice the opposite to oppress the truth, but play mind games and reveal part of the truth. And that's the end of this statement and my notifications on Karmic Dynasty YouTube from Michael's first appearance.
Okay, so occult literally means hidden knowledge. I mean, that's the literal definition of the word. So that part, I mean, okay. What's interesting, I'm not sure what they were talking about, the male female thing and the scarabs and that type of deal. Kepra, who is one of the creation deities, right? One of the creation netters, actually is presented as a man. He's presented exclusively as a male with a scarab head, right? They actually believed for a very long time, and I don't know when they got over this belief, but for thousands of years, it was believed, commonly believed, that scarabs actually, trying to think of the word, a biogenesis or parthenogenesis or something, whatever the genesis is, basically that scarabs basically were spontaneously created. Right, that they just appeared out of nowhere. Right, they didn't lay eggs, they didn't, they didn't give birth, they didn't come from other scarabs. They just kind of appeared out of nowhere, which obviously is not true, but because of where they laid their eggs. I don't want to get into too many details, but basically in the little dung balls that they pushed around, right? They would lay eggs in the little dung balls that they pushed around, which when they're pushing the little dung balls, it kind of, is reminiscent of like a star or a sun that's being pushed, which is kind of the I guess the background for that, for that imagery of the creation, the creator actually creating the sun and pushing it, moving it around. And that's sort of how Kepra became, a creation netter, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not sure. I'm really racking my brain trying to figure out the male female connection there. I'm not sure what they were talking about. But yeah, as far as the scarab goes, I mean, Kepra is presented, historically as just a male with a scarab head. You know, the creator deity. Oh, there you go, the scarab, the dung beetle. Yeah, and it was believed, you know, for thousands of years that they just sort of appeared out of nowhere, right? They didn't have any, they didn't lay eggs, they didn't, you know, they didn't mate, they just sort of appeared out of nothing.
Yeah, that's I appreciate you addressing that because honestly, when I read those notifications on my YouTube channel, I immediately went to your inbox, not to intrude, but I was like, uh, what does this mean? You know, is it something I'm missing? I don't realize is being said. It seemed a little mixed up. Some of the stuff seemed like topics were crossing, not cross-referencing, just crossing. So I'm glad to hear your feedback today and know it was not just me. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, there were some good points in there, but some of it
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the point was they were trying to make. I'm really not sure.
Are you answering questions today about the set? Your
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
okay.
Any questions at all?
All right, so the Kemetic Tarot Veil of Aset edition. KK has a question here. She is once again looking through the tales of the goddess, as well as the other one, the Kemetic Tarot. Huh? Hold on. Okay, well here you look. Yeah, she's in the other book, and she's wanting to ask you questions about the cards.
Okay.
Go ahead. You have to show them. Show everyone.
What does this mean?
What does Ani mean?
Oh, Ani. Okay. So in the card deck, he is what we call the fool, right? He's the traveler, the man who's, or the person I should say, who's making the journey, right? And the tarot cards are really sort of his story. All of the cards together, it's sort of his story. And however you lay the cards out, it sort of tells his story and about his adventure, right? But he's the main character, basically. Yep, that's him. And as you can see, he's sort of making his way through the duat, through the underworld at that point. And we get him from the original. Well, I shouldn't say the original. From one of the best copies of the Book of Coming Forth by Day that was ever found was his copy. It had his name in it, and it's just like a beautiful copy. It just absolutely just beautiful. Lots of information. The artwork is wonderful. In fact, the artwork behind me is from the Book of Coming Forth by Day of Ani. So he's not in this picture behind me, but well, I take that back. Yes, he is. He's right here. Here. That's him right there, getting his heart weighed by Anubis on the scale. And yeah, he basically is, and this is from Ani's Book of Coming Forth by Day, but basically he is having his heart weighed right there, and then he'll move on to the next stage, right? Assuming he passes. If his heart is lighter than a feather, then he'll basically, then Tahuti will record it and say, yes, this guy gets to pass. If his heart is heavier than a feather, then Tahuti's going to write that down and then feed his heart to Amet, the beast. And he won't go any further. So yeah, it's basically he's the hero of the story. Oh, my favorite, Aset. All right, the sorceress. She is the sorceress, the magician. There she is. She is powerful, magical. She has all of the magical symbols with her.
This goes with her too.
And she like I said, she is one of my favorite characters. Just one of my favorite netters. She just is powerful, smart. Aset and Asur, the lovers. So one of the greatest love stories ever told. Basically, Aset and Asur were husband and wife, the king and queen of the Netters, and king of queen of Earth, basically. And he was murdered by his jealous brother. And she basically brought him back to life, essentially with her love. Sort of the power of love type of deal.
Yeah.
She searched the earth to find his body after it was scattered and put him back together and basically raised him from the dead.
This is the same thing as the card.
Yep, exactly.
Is this right here?
Yep. Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite images is just Asura and Aset. She's basically taking care of him. As you can see, she's actually represented in a lot of artwork with wings, and she's represented also with cow horns. The cow horns are generally given to female netters as a sign of motherhood. Their maternal powers, right? And the wings are given to Aset and her sister, Nebuchadnezzar, primarily, although others also have them, but they're really associated with them because of their power to turn into birds, their power of flight. And in this case, she's using them to protect Asur's body. She's wrapping her wings around him. That one you just showed is Tahuti, the netter of wisdom. Yeah. He invented writing. He invented magic. He invented math, science, geography, everything. Very smart guy. Amun-Ra, the emperor. Yep. The patriarch of the netters, the ultimate creator, the grandest creator. His animal, his primary sacred animal is a hawk. I can't hear you.
She thought you saying Hulk, like Incredible Hulk. I said,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
Hulk, the bird. What's your name
The
now?
Empress. Yes. So,
Empress.
yeah, Amun-Ra's wife, the Empress. Yep. Again, another maternal deity. Very powerful in many respects. Not as well known as Aset, and not as well documented, but she was the center of many ceremonies involving maternal rituals and fertility rituals. Spring planting and things of that nature, where they're like, we really need a good crop, so we need animals to be fertile. We need the land to be fertile. Just a lot of fertility ceremonies associated with her. Nebuchadnezzar. She is Aset's sister. Again, not as well documented as Aset, but there was a big family dynamic going on there where she basically cheated with Asur and ended up having his child, who, by the way, was Anpu, or as the Greeks called him, Anubis, right? One of the original deities, the jackal-headed deity of the underworld or death. And rather than seek revenge or get angry, Aset basically adopted him and raised him as her own. So, a tale of betrayal, forgiveness. I mean, just a love story, just really, really classic themes. The boat of a million years. That is the boat that Amun Ra rode with some of the other netters every day across the sky to basically carry the sun. And then at night, he would go into the Duat, the underworld, and he would fight the evil serpent, Apep, the chaos serpent. And he would fight him off in the same, basically ride his boat around, fight him off, and then come back with the sun rising the next morning. And it was just a cycle that repeated every day, over and over.
I'm noticing that all the cards that she's shown you are the purple ones, the royalty. They list more royalty in the color code for the set.
Oh, yes. The purple cards are the royalty cards, so they're all color coded. So
except for Ani, she didn't show all.
Ani is gold.
Yeah,
white.
He is the full. He is kind of separate.
Mm-hmm.
This is white.
That's a white card, and that is a card. The white cards are the sword cards. They actually have swords on them. And they're white because they represent air. Sekhmet. Sekhmet is another netter. She is very powerful, very, very strong, lion-headed goddess. And she represents strength in this deck. One of the main stories about her was how Amun Ra got upset at mankind and said, people are evil, people are bad, so I'm going to get rid of the bad people. So he sent Sekhmet, his daughter, or his eye, right? She's known as she's one of the goddesses, one of the netters who's known as the Eye of Ra, or the Eye of Amun Ra. He sent her out to basically get rid of all the bad people. So she went out and just started getting rid of the bad people. I mean, just basically killing them all. Well, she started going crazy and started killing all of the people. When she ran out of bad people, she didn't stop. She kept going and going and going. Finally, they decided they had to stop her. So they they dyed a bunch of beer red, poured it out on the ground, and she drank it until she passed out, got drunk and passed out. And then they brought her back, to the mountain. And when they brought her back, to the palace, she woke up and she was changed into the goddess Hathor, the more gentle side of her nature. So she's nobody to trifle with.
Ace of Swords, Peru.
Let me find it.
Hero, the Ace of Swords, the son of Aset and Asur, and the future at that time, he would be the future pharaoh. He would take the father's place, and it's an interesting, I guess, an interesting story about how they kind of looked at things, right? Because the son became the father, but then the father became the son. So the father was resurrected through the son. And it's incredible when we try to think about it and make sense of it. But to the ancient Kemetic peoples, it made perfect sense, right? It's like, yes, they're the same person, but he's the son, he's the father, but they're the same, right? It doesn't matter. And this one dies, this one comes back to life. This one comes back to life, this one dies. And just an ongoing cycle. That guy represents sort of the primordial chaos of the universe, just sort of his name was Newt, and he basically represented the void, out in the universe, the primordial waters that sort of surrounded everything. Ah,
And
Well,
there was a Karmic Dynasty presentation on Best, so I'll have them watch that video, The Guardian.
Bess, he is one of my. He was actually one of the most. I mean, not much was written about him. There's not a lot of stories about him, but Bess is actually one of the was one of the most popular netters, one of the most popular household deities. Uh, you know, in ancient Kemet. In fact, images of him have been found all over Asia. I mean, seriously, just everywhere, right? His sort of image was sort of spread everywhere. The thing is, they never really built any temples to him. They never built any worship centers for him. He didn't really have like a cult or a local religion. What he had was he was treated as more of a good luck totem, right? Like I don't know, lucky rabbit's foot or a horseshoe or something like that, right? Like he was like a good luck charm, and he just people knew about him from from as far north as you go in Asia, all the way to the south, and all the way over to China. I mean, he was just extremely popular. People used him to uh, ward off bad things, protect babies. They would carve his face into tools so that the tools wouldn't hurt you, right? They would carve it into cosmetic kits so the cosmetics were safe. They would paint it on the walls of nurseries to protect the babies. So he was just very popular in that respect.
9 of Scarabs.
Nine of Scarabs. Ah, okay. This one is
She looked like the queen. Okay.
Yep. She's definitely being treated well. And that's kind of the point of
Yeah.
that card, right? Is that it's sort of treating yourself or being treated well. Sort of maybe a little bit over the top, but just being treated really well, right? Let someone take care of you for a while. All right. So
Okay,
I guess
well, Maya's girls, they don't have any other questions.
I have a question.
You have a question?
yeah.
What is the question, Layla? I mean, KK.
Let's see. What is this angry guy?
Angry guy, warrior of
Oh,
scepters.
Warrior of Scepters. Okay. So the
He's a
warriors
red
are
card.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
And
see.
the red ones are scepters. So that guy actually, so the Warrior of Scepters, he's a guy, he's a soldier, and he would used to fight in wars for the Pharaoh, right? His scepter is actually what they call a mace, which was actually a military, combat thing. It basically a stick with a big rock on the end, right? That they would just kind of bang people around with. But in fact, the most famous one's probably the Scorpion Mace, which had a whole story kind of carved into it. They kind of told about the pharaohs, how he conquered these people, and how he captured all their cattle, and he defeated their armies, and all this kind of good stuff, imprisoned all these people. But the Scorpion Mace head is actually one of the most famous maces. But the mace actually became a symbol, sort of. It became another scepter, which they had dozens of types of scepters, but it became a scepter that a ceremonial role for the pharaoh as a symbol of his military authority, right? Like he's like the commander in chief, so he needs a weapon to show that he has authority over the military, and that's where the mace came in. They had just very highly decorated, you know, rocks on the end of sticks, right? Carved smooth with writing on it, pictures, hieroglyphs, all that kind of good stuff. So that's why that one's a scepter.
Layla, you have 2 more questions. What's your first question?
Why she look like a snake and she is a snake?
Why does she look like a snake and she is a snake? Let's see the card. Let's see the card.
Well, she's a human.
Oh, she's a human.
Okay.
Snake?
So that's actually two separate netters, right? One of them is the snake is the goddess of fortune or luck, right? She'll give you like good luck, bad luck. She just controls whether you have good or bad luck. The other guy up front is actually a netter who represents your lifespan, right? So he's there with you when you're born, and he's there again when you go to heaven, right? When you pass away, he's there at that time as well. And what they believed was that he would keep notes he would write down everything that you did. And when you went, after you passed away, when you were going to paradise, when Anpu weighed your heart on the on the scales, this guy would be there, and he would basically tattle on you, right? So he would basically tell every bad thing that you did, all the bad stuff that you had done. Like, oh well, you took a candy bar that wasn't yours, or you did something bad, right? He would be there telling all the bad stuff that you did. They actually have spells in the book of Coming Forth by Day to silence him and make him be quiet, so that he doesn't do that, right? So he doesn't snitch on you. Basically, he's like a snitch. But he did control when you lived and how long you lived for. That was his main thing.
Go ahead.
Can't
King of
see that.
Scarabs.
I can't see his name, but that pharaoh.
Pharaoh Amenhotep III.
Amenhotep. Okay, so Amenhotep was actually one of the most successful, financially successful pharaohs of all time. Under his reign, there was a lot of great artwork that was produced. The economy was just incredible. They just made a ton of money. Everybody made a ton of money, right? It was like in the 1990s, if you had stock market, right? Some stocks in the stock market, everybody got rich, right? They're too young to remember that, but basically, it was just a time when everybody just made a lot of money. There was plenty of food, plenty of money, and he was actually one of the richest pharaohs of all time. His net worth was in the trillions of dollars, right? So that card actually has to do with financial success, actually becoming rich. You pull that card, it's a good sign.
What'd you say, Lele?
I say, was he rich and mean?
Was he rich
and mean?
And mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Michael
Well,
just answered the question.
The stories tell us he wasn't mean. No, I mean, that's what the stories tell us. I don't know, but he might have had people just writing that up for him. He might have been really mean and just had people say, "Oh, great guy." I mean, he had enough money to pay people to do that. So I don't know.
Any more questions? What? Okay.
Say,
How did everyone enjoy the show? That's a great question. How did everybody enjoy today's show?
And I want to say thank you.
Yeah, tell him thank you.
Thank you. Thank
no problem. Thank you.
Dynasty. Thank you.
Yes,
for
Karmic
coming
Dynasty.
here. Thank you for coming here. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, and thank you guys. Thank you, Lele and KK. And thank you, George.
Welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. Every time. Michael, was there anything else you want to talk about today? Because the girls, they're about to leave the panel.
No.
Okay. Well, before we hop off, I just wanted to tell everyone thank you. And I've actually randomly picked a couple of winners for prizes. So I don't know if they want to give you their addresses or whatever, then I can ship some stuff out to them.
Okay, prizes. What
Yeah,
prizes?
yeah. So K Croftus 99.
Yes, Kai
I'm going to
Creatress.
send a copy of the Kemetic Tarot.
Okay.
Michael Passio.
Michael Phoenix.
Michael Phoenix. Yeah, I'm going to send a
Michael
copy.
Passio. Oh no, Michael Passio.
Michael Passio.
Yes,
I'm
I
gonna
see
send a
him.
copy of the astrological dice. And
Very
Sia Dewerson.
Shay Dorson.
Is it Shay?
Yes, Shay
Okay,
Dorson.
Shay Dewerson. I wanted to send a what is it? The girdle of Aset. Basically, the little well, hell, I don't even have. I have to grab one. Basically, the little Tayet, right? TJET. It's a little good luck sort of symbol. It's known as the girdle of Isis or Aset. The girdle of Aset or the knot of Aset. So I don't know if you can collect their addresses, then I will then I'll send get them over to me. I will send these out to them immediately.
All right, so I will do that. I will communicate with these people and definitely be in touch with you with their information.
Right.
And so surprises, gifts, that was definitely a surprise. You have any other surprises or anything else we need to know before you leave today?
Not for me, no. I think that's it for me. Unless there's any other questions or comments or anything else.
No more questions, no more comments. I'm here today. Hi everyone. Hi. So definitely thank you, Michael, for being here. Everyone, again, welcome to Karmic Dynasty. It was great to have you all here. And we will be leaving right now. And oh, check your notifications. Be sure to be aware of when we're coming on and when Michael's here, when he'll return. It's been a little while since he's been here, but he's a very busy creative man. I will out in the world where y'all can know more about him, even more than what I know, but I know he's greatness in creation form. He has some other things he's working on. I'm waiting on that big surprise to launch. I definitely will be here on Karmic Dynasty talking about it. But everyone enjoy yourself until next time. Thank you for your time and space today.
All right.
Where we at? Yeah.